Allah Akbar.
At the end of the day, it's all about standing up for justice for all people.
Recently, Arsalan's been working as a contributing editor for Islamica Magazine, a top-line online Muslim publication in the US based out of Los Angeles.
What made you shift? How did you end up working for Islamica Magazine?
Well, one of the main things that I did since 9/11 was help to serve as an honest Muslim voice, a Muslim public diplomat in media outlets around the world.
1 in 4 Muslims under 30 say suicide bombings are justifiable acts. But these were Muslims living right here in the United States.
Well, first of all, Amy, if you look at the 108-page report, the figure is slightly misleading. If you took a sample of 1,000 Americans asking if Martians ran the White House, you'd probably get a similar figure.
On a more serious note, the Council on American Islamic Relations believes that because 24 is featuring Muslim villains this year, that may lead to real anti-Muslim sentiment. There are Muslims who want to kill Americans, you know that.
In this new season of 24, when you take an entire minority demographic group and essentially place them in internment camps like we did with Japanese Americans after World War II.
Wait.
But Bill, if we were talking about placing African Americans at detention centers or other minority groups, I don't think that we would be having this discussion. I think the uproar would be quite unanimous from all sides of the aisle.
I don't know.
You have to admit, though, the rules of terrorism have changed.
Now, after Oklahoma City, you didn't hear anyone say that we should go out and profile every blonde-haired white guy out there.
So the question that Muslims are asking all around the world is this: are Muslims being accurately depicted in international media all around the world?
There are no Muslims on earth who would say that Islam is being accurately depicted in mainstream media globally. And so to be able to serve as a voice, a Muslim voice of reason, to help challenge many of the controversies that we see around the world, from the Danish cartoon controversy to the Dutch movie about the Quran to terrorist attacks in Bali, Madrid, and London, the media has always looked for Muslim voices, Muslim representatives, Muslim leaders who would be able to explain the context of all of these issues from a Muslim perspective, but also offer an added layer of how can we as a global community use this as a moment, as an opportunity to become closer rather than to be more divided from one another.
But his critics have always hunted Arsalan for the work that he did with care, and this is how he responds to the criticism.
How do you bring credibility to something like that?
Well, I mean, I go back to the fact that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., American civil rights leader, was called a terrorist and a troublemaker in the 1960s. Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist by Vice President Dick Cheney at some point. Again, at the end of the day, it's all about standing up for justice for all people. It's all about dialogue and diplomacy. And if a few right-wing racist knuckleheads are going to say things, then you just have to ignore them and continue on with the good work that you're doing for everyone.
To continue doing his work is exactly what he did, using his writing and commentary skills to voice his opinion across the media landscape of America, no matter what the odds were.
What makes American Muslims think like this if we compare it to Muslims in other parts of the world?
57% of American Muslims have a graduate degree of some sort. So not just a college university degree, but a graduate degree. 41% of American Muslims make over $75,000 a year, which is a very high income level in America. And so for the most part, the Muslims that tended to immigrate here 30, 40, 50 years ago, they were the cream of the crop of their Muslim societies. And so when you bring an educated, more economically empowered community into a free democracy like the United States, it allows for them to not only thrive sociopolitically and economically, but it also allows for them to have a more nuanced worldview in terms of how can we as American Muslims not only help contribute to the United States of America, but also contribute to the sort of global Muslim discourse and raise the level of thinking within our own Islamic thought movement. How can we raise the enlightenment level to the point where we can talk about things through logic, reason, and compassion, rather than through just emotion and the politics of rage?
And people of other faiths have nothing to fear. I mean, there's people listening to you right now will think, oh my God, Muslims are out to get America, take over the world.
Anyone who subscribes to any sort of conspiracy theories, really does not have a good grasp of reality. There are 7 million American Muslims that are living in the United States today. We call America our home. We were born and raised here. I was born and raised in America. I am an American Muslim.
Arsalan takes great joy and pride in calling himself an American Muslim, but he also calls it a challenging experience since 9/11.
And I think one of the great challenges, but also benefits, that my generation, the first generation of mainly indigenous-born American Muslims, can help not only bridge that divide because we understand both worlds, but also, more importantly, show that America is a diverse country. Show that America is a country where all people of all faiths, all religions, all socioeconomic statuses can thrive and live peacefully and practice their faith and do whatever they want in a free society. I want to help shatter any stereotypes about Islam being a monolith. All Arabs are Muslims, all Muslims are Arabs, all Muslims have accents, all Muslims are either doctors or engineers. Here you have an American Muslim human rights lawyer and magazine columnist. If you told most Muslim families that you're a magazine columnist, they would kind of look at you and scratch their head as to what that means. But so we're trying to sort of shatter that mold and create a new one that shows that we Muslims and American Muslims are just as diverse as anyone else.
Diversity is the heart and soul of Arsalan's work, from human rights to civil liberties, whether it's a Muslim issue or not.
So if somebody would walk up to you and say, Arsalan, go back to your country, what are you doing here? What would you say to them?
I'd be like, well, I am in my country and I was born and raised in Chicago, so if you want me to go back home, that means that I'd be moving from Washington to Chicago. And it's funny because I've actually had, whenever I'm on television, I've had TV hosts after interviews be like, you know what, that was great, your accent didn't come through at all. Where are you from? And I very purposefully say Chicago. And they're like, no, where are you really from? And I'm like, Chicago. We still have a long way to go.
Allah Akbar. I'm 100% pro second generation Muslims.